Oh, did you say anything? I think you had a call. Okay.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
Okay.
that. I didn't want the sound to disturb the class, so I had to put that off. Okay, so I said we stopped at information on research question the last time, where I was trying to explain how you structure your questionnaire. Having close-ended questions, open-ended questions, multiple choice questions, counter check questions, and the like, which I explained last time. So now let's delve straight into questionnaire validation. So what's the essence? Why do you have to validate your questionnaire in the first place? Because I was trying to explain that the fact that somebody used a questionnaire and it worked perfectly to answer a research question in Lagos State, and I, as a person in Oyo State, wants to carry out exactly the same study. The fact that the questionnaire was able to, answer the research question in Lagos State does not mean it will answer mine in Oyo State too. Why? Because of some certain characteristics. In fact, the social demographic characteristics alone is enough to not make the questionnaire that was just out in Oyo State, let's say somebody did something at Ikeja, Lagos, and then I'm trying to do the same thing at saying Oyo State. Let's take a look at the possibility of those people that are educated will be more compared to those people at the saying. So use something like that, something a questionnaire used in Lagos State without changes, without I just adopted it instead of adapting. I just adopted it, and then I'm using it on my own population. I might not get to answer my search question and objective. So this is why we need to validate our questionnaire to see that the questions that I have in here, are they actually answering um my search questions? If they are, what's the reliability of the questionnaire to say? There's something called reliability tests in contesting research methods, which I'm going to be talking about very soon. So I'm just trying to tell you why you need to validate your questionnaire. A validated questionnaire refers to a questionnaire, blah, 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 that has been developed to be administered among the intended respondents. You see the word intended. Intended, that's your own target population. So that's what I'm trying to, the fact that I'm trying to establish that. The fact that Mr. A used a questionnaire with skill. In fact, even is a standardized questionnaire. Sometimes you need to make it fit into your study population, right? Another thing, when you're validating your questionnaire, you have to look out for majorly two things: the content and the strength of the skill. That you must have heard about content validity before and reliability. So content validity and face validation, they work in the sense that, let's say you are working on what's that? Let's say prevalence of FDR TB among people living with HIV in Lagos State. That's your research topic. That's what you're looking at. So you have to ensure that what content validity will do is that, these questions that are they answering the prevalence of MDR-TB among people living with HIV? That's what content validity is going to be checking. So, but there are about 5 steps or 4 steps to validating your question, and the very first one is establish face validity, which I was trying to explain earlier. This is after designing your question. I want people to go through for you. You don't want to deploy it into the field just like that. You want people that have the domain knowledge of what you are talking about. You want people that have the domain knowledge to take a look at it. These questions, do you need to restructure? Do you need to reverse code it? What do I mean by that? Let's say you want to ask a question. Instead of being so direct, you want to ask them, okay, I might have interest in tuberculosis study, so I'm making references to tuberculosis. So I want to talk about the symptoms or the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis, then you might want to say the following, or weight loss is not a sign or symptom of tuberculosis. Of course, weight loss is a symptom, but now I'm reversing it. I'm saying it is not. So that when people just want to pick yes or no, like without reading the question, that can flag those people kind of persons out. Anybody could have just picked yes or no. But by reversing some questions, you can tell whether these people really have an idea of what they're talking about, or they're just picking whatever it is that they like. That's an example. I think that you want to ensure that you are not asking leading questions. You are not let me use one way direction. And leading question in such a way that you you just want it's just like you're asking for a confirmation. You just want them to, like, you are putting an answer into their mouth. You just want them to say something like, oh, speeding or alcohol consumption can lead to road traffic accidents, right? So I'm just using that as an example. It's very leading. So if you are asking me something like that with your content or the way it sounds, I can easily say yes, because I'll obviously believe that, oh, yes should be the correct answer, even though I don't know it. And the kind of questions that you are asking should not be confusing. People, even you should assume that you are the only one that understand your research study. So you don't want to use complex words or research jargon when you are working with your questionnaire. Let's say you are working with, let's say your target population is primary school students, and then you are looking at knowledge of schistosomiasis among primary school students and prevalence. And then you're not asking the primary school students if he or she knows about schistosomiasis. Even the word is too big for probably a secondary school student, not talk of a primary. So you have to use um, a word that is less complex, that they can easily understand. You could ask them, oh, have you seen or have you heard about people urinating blood alongside their urine? Something like that. You are breaking it down to their own understanding. That's an example of question that is not confusing. You have to ensure that, oh, your target population understand whatever it is that you are, asking. And then you have to avoid double-barrel questions. For example, you are working on a sexual reproductive health study, and then you're asking a question saying that puberty starts at between age 12 and 14 in girls, or 9 and 14 in girls, and then it starts between the age of 13 in boys. I'm citing an example. You already have that particular question should be broken down into two, in the sense that, oh, somebody might actually know the age at which puberty starts in girls, and not know for boys. So you lumping the questions together, you might not really measure their knowledge on both sides. I'm not sure if see your device. I would have to check the stuff down. Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, and I hope you guys are understand. If you don't understand at any point, you can just call my attention. I can't see the screen because I'm on the PowerPoint slide. So if there is something that is confusing at any point, you could just call my attention, please. Thank you. All right, so we don't want to use double barrel question. So such question, the question that I actually said, like, you can break it down into two, saying, oh, puberty starts at age between age of 12 and 14 in girls, and it starts between age of 12 and 13 in girls. That should be a question on its own. Then another one should be that, oh, puberty start at age of so in boys. Do you understand? So you have already splitted it. You can really assess, oh, people that actually have the knowledge of puberty in girls and those that have the knowledge of puberty in boys. So that's what I mean by double barrel questions. You should not ask two questions in one. So step 2 is run a pilot test. There is this word that people misuse. I'm trying to record the other part now. pilot testing and okay, yeah, pilot testing and pre-test. Most people, well, sometimes you can actually use it. It can be intertwined. We are going to get the, the salient difference between the two now, just in a very short time. What do I mean by pilot tests? You've developed a questionnaire. You really want to confirm whether it's going to work out among your target population. So you might want to pick like a sample. You already have a sample, right? Then of that sample, you want to pick a proportion of it to ensure that, oh, with this work among your target population, this testing that you are doing is not going to be among exactly your target population. Let's say you are trying to carry a study, just like I rightly said, prevalence of MDR TB among people living with HIV in Ikeja, Lagos State. So if I want to do a pilot testing, I'm going to the questionnaire that I want to administer among people living in Ikeja. I'm going to take it to say a place like Bega in Lagos, right? I'm not going to be administering the questionnaire among people living in Ikeja because, of course, they might be exposed to the questions that I want to ask, and then when I'm coming around, most of them might have read them around and all those things. So that's why I'm not going to be using the exact target population, but something that is similar to it for my pilot test. So I want to, carry the questionnaire, see the way whether they have difficulty by filling it. Is it do they or actually understand your question? At the end of the day, when you are analyzing your data, is there any pattern? Does it make sense? Or people are leaving it out? So that's where you can actually determine the difficulty, and you can remove questions that are very difficult for your respondent to answer, and or probably break them down. So that's where um, pilot testing comes in. So usually people make use of 10% of their sample. What they mean by total population is, well, total population, which is your sample. So let's say I have a 424 sample that I want to administer the questionnaire to. So I might actually answer 40 or 44% to confirm if the questionnaire will be okay to answer my research question and objectives. So, and the next thing is clean collected. So after you must have collected these data sets, I mean, during your pilot testing, you want to confirm, you want to content and face validity. Aside both of them, you have to confirm. You have to confirm the consistency between responses and the inconsistency. You want to check correlation between questions. You don't want multicollinearity. What do I mean by that? Like a question that is directly related to another question. Since it's already mentioned the same thing, you want to avoid multicollinearity and all of that. So to achieve that, you have to ensure that your data is clean in the sense that, so let's say, you are probably going to understand this. Let's say when you were entering your data, you awarded, let's say you are using a Likert scale on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being strongly agree, down to strongly disagree. So let's say you have strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. Oh my goodness. And you have strongly disagree. So obviously, you know that the lowest score, the lowest mark that should be there should be 1, which is strongly agree, and the maximum should be strongly disagree. So if you are going through your data set and then you see any value that is below 1 or that is above 5, you already know that there is an error. You want to confirm something like that. Just like the example that I cited here. questionnaires put in domains and sections. You want to ensure that you had kept the right question in the right domain. Let's say you are looking at quality of life of people living with say mental illnesses. So quality of life is actually measured in different domains: physical, social support, and a number of them, about 4 domains. So we want to ensure that the questions that I have kept in each domain are actually supposed to be where they are. You are going to get this based on the responses that people have given. You can easily gather them. What principal component analysis does is that it groups your questions, it groups your respondents into components, into sections. So that means, this set of people, let's say by the time I run the principal component analysis, then I have different components. So from the results, I'm trying to talk about this. Probably when you are more practical, you're going to get what I'm trying to say. From the result of a principal component analysis, you can tell the number of, I said we have like about 5 domains for measuring quality of life. So you might realize that, majority of these people, maybe their quality of life as regards physical health is more. Probably their own quality of life is more of physical health. Some of them might be based on social support and the likes. So principal comment analysis will help you group your respondents in that order. This set of people are probably they have high quality of life as regards physical health, or they have low quality of life as regards physical health. This set of people, they have low or high quality of life as regards social support. This set of people have low or high quality of life as regards their environmental health and all of that. From this, you can use the result that I have gotten out of this. It has clustered your respondents for you. Those that have high and low quality of life, it has clustered them for you. From there, you can take these results to running a chi-square, which is a test of association, or probably a binary logistic regression to confirm the extent of the association of whatever it is that you're looking at. But not to bother with all of that jargon. What principal component analysis does generally is that it helps you groups your responses into components, into sections, into factors. That's what principal component analysis does. And the value is usually between -1 and 1. When we are more practical, I will explain all of this to you. And then now you make judgments based on the principal component analysis. So check internal consistency. Earlier I said that's one of the things that I want to check. I said the reason why you're cleaning your data is to ensure that so you don't have acts of extreme values, or you have missing systems and all of that. After you must have done that, you need to check the consistency in the questions. Is there correlation between the questions that you're looking at, which I've rightly said earlier? You don't want so much correlation between the same factors and all of that. So all of these things, you don't have to check it manually. There are softwares, there are softwares that you can actually use that will help you do all of this. Just all you need is just with theoretical knowledge of it, so that it can make sense out of the result that the software must have given to you. Which I'm going to be showing you a software, how to make use of a software very soon. Probably not today. And I'm going to probably send it to Daniel. I'm going to send a link to download SPSS to Daniel. And if any one of you have it, or you guys can share it amongst yourself. However, I'm still going to share it with Daniel. Then step 6, revise your survey. So while you are checking your internal consistency, you also want to check the ability of your questionnaire. And usually this is done using a statistics value called Chromback Alpha. So you say your questionnaire is reliable when you have a value of at least 0.7. 0.7 above is a very strong reliability value to say, this questionnaire among my target population, it's good to go. I'm good to go to use this questionnaire. But if you still have the value of 0.5 to less than 0.7, it's still something that is moderate, it's something that I can work with. But to really have confidence in the questionnaire that I'm working with, you need at least 0.70 to say that, oh, my questionnaire is reliable and I'm good to go to use it among my target population to achieve my research objectives and my research questions. So before I go further, I would like to know if anybody has a question.
For now, I don't.
Okay. How about others? Does anybody have a question?
None from me either.
All right. So I will take it as you guys understand and all of that. So I'm going to give an assignment on developing. I'm going to give you a research, or okay, you guys can come up with a research topic, develop your research questions and objective, and then from the research questions that you have, I want you to develop a questionnaire from it. Using the 3 basic factors I talked about when you are developing your questionnaire, which is the administrator characteristics, the information of your respondents, and questions that answer your research questions, information that answer your research questions. So those 3 factors should be your guideline to build the questionnaire. So I'm going to post that on the Google Classroom probably by tomorrow, by the grace of God, and I'll give a deadline for you guys to submit. So that will really checkmate how far we've really learned. All right. One problem faced by research is that blah blah blah. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be giving you these questions, especially the first one. All right, so when we started this class, we basically said, oh, research methods or research methodology is categorically divided into 2. We have quantitative research methods and we have qualitative research methods. So we have successfully concluded the quantitative research methods. I told you that majorly the instruments used for a quantitative research method are basically questionnaire and observational checklist, which I think I've made justice to. So we're going to be looking at qualitative research methods now. So there are different ways to actually carry out a qualitative research analysis. I'm sorry, I said analysis. Don't mind me. Qualitative research, a qualitative research, it could be a focus group discussion. It could be an in-depth interview. It could be these are the two that we actually use majorly. Focus group discussion and key in-depth interview. Okay, so I'll just run through these 2 basic methods using carrying out a qualitative research. Focus group discussion, just from the word, this is usually among people that are knowledgeable about what you are talking about. It basically measures, okay, let's give this example. We are trying to look at people's perception as regards sexual reproductive health communication between adolescents and their parents. You can actually carry out a quantitative research, but you might not really make justice to their perception because they only answer to the questions that you're asking them. So you cannot get anything outside the questions that you're asking them. And they might actually have several other things that they want to say to you. I mean, as regards their perception, whether they should discuss about sexual reproductive health with their children or not. But you're already boxing them into answering some few questions. But we are making use of the qualitative research methods. We were comparing the difference between quantitative and qualitative research method the last time. And I said one of the major differences and a major advantage that qualitative research method may have over quantitative research is that it allows your respondents, to give their own views. It's more, it's very, very subjective. It's usually based on your respondents' opinion, and it's given for them to actually give a very wide range of responses in the sense that it is usually open. Somebody's mic is on. Okay, thank you. All right, so focus group discussion usually involves about six to 12 people because you don't want it to be crowded. You don't want to have a crowded environment because you want to every information that every participant is giving is actually valid. And you don't want a crowded area where you will not be able to capture their information. Information in the sense that the ones that are giving you their reaction, your mouth might be saying something else and then your reaction is giving another thing. I hope you all actually all agree with me. So that's why we actually say that a focus group discussion or quantitative research method generally is actually very, very suitable to collect information as regards people's belief, their opinion and attitude towards anything that you are interested in, researching. So there are a number of things that you have to do when you want to carry out a focus group discussion. And one of those things is to actually make sure that the set of people that you want to ask questions from, they're actually knowledgeable about what you're interested in studying. You just don't want to, pick some random people and then that's it. So that's why we said the selection process or the recruitment process is usually purposive because you want to include those people that know about what you are talking about. I hope I'm still communicating and then I'm not complicating anything. Hello, are we together?
Sorry, please. What did you say?
Yes.
All
My
right.
mic got off.
Okay, was I out for a while?
No, me.
No.
So I was just trying to talk about the selection process or the recruitment process of a focus group discussion. That we want to be very mindful. That's why we say we use a purposive selection method. We want to ensure that those people that are including in the focus group discussion are people that are knowledgeable about what you're interested in studying. So this picture is actually depicting an example of a focus group discussion. You have probably leaders of a community, you have them around, or people that are from your target population that knows about what you are talking about. You bring all of them together, in a very quiet and serene environment where you can extract information that you are giving successfully. So this is an example of a focus group discussion ongoing. So, I said there are several things that you need to consider when you want to carry out focus group discussion. One of which is the recruitment process, where you have to ensure that you select people that are knowledgeable about what you are talking about. So that means it has to be purposive. You won't just go ahead to pick or select random people. And earlier I said the focus group discussion actually contain or entails about 6 to 12 people because you don't want it to be crowded as you want to get every information that everybody is giving. And the more people you have, the more crowded it becomes, and then you may not be able to control that as everybody wants to say something. Because of course we cannot always have the same opinions or belief about something. So why somebody is saying something, somebody else wants to tackle that, and if you are not careful, if you have a very lot of people in there, you might not be able to control for it. Another thing is timing. Even for everybody, even if it's not a research study, when you're in a lecture that is exceeding 2 hours, people get bored and then lose interest in whatever it is that you're doing. So a focus group discussion should not exceed 2 hours, because you want to have the attention of your participants so that they give you valid information and all of that. And just like a quantitative research method, there's a tool for that, for collecting your information. The tool for quantitative research method, when I was explaining, was questionnaire. Majority of the time, questionnaire, observational checklist, or probably a pro forma. But when we are talking about qualitative research method, we make use of a guide. That guide actually entails questions that you are interested in studying. This time around, it's not going to be something that is close-ended. The questions that are going to be asking are not going to be close-ended. They're going to be questions that are open-ended, in the sense that you're not boxing them to say A or B. You can say A, B, C to Z. You're not boxing them to some certain responses, right? So the guide will actually ensure that you are kept on track. You're not going outside of research study. So it usually have like about 10 questions, so that you don't bore your people out. So you try as much as possible to, make sure that your research questions can be answered just around the 10 questions and all of that. So this is the procedure for carrying out a focus group discussion, which is one of the ways to carry out a qualitative research methodology. You select the set of people or participants that you want in your study group. You decide on where you want to meet. You don't just select by yourself. You don't just say, "Oh, I want us to meet at the shopping mall at Ikeja." No, you involve them in the plan and all of those things. So you guys come into a conclusion on when and where you want to meet, so that you don't want to be there and your participants are not available for you, and you don't want your participants to be available and you're not available for them, right? You develop some set of questions to ask them. You carry out the focus group discussion, and then you run a thematic or qualitative analysis on the responses that you have gotten. Don't worry, I'm going to be reverting on this qualitative research, this thing, but just because we spent some time doing nothing, I want to ensure that we actually cover my part before next week, when somebody else will be taking this. So there are some do's and don'ts for a focus group discussion. I told you that you want to have a comfortable and serene environment. That's the first thing. You want to ensure that everybody that you are inviting, they are comfortable. You don't want to carry out a research on say uptake of sexual reproductive health services among adolescents. So imagine what you are trying to carry out, and then you invited girls, teenagers between the age of say 15 to 19, and then in the same gathering, then invited people of the age of 50 to 61. Then you expect those teenagers to open up to talk about your the questions that ask them. They are going to be restricted, because they are not going to be comfortable saying things like that. So it is for question. When you have research studies that are actually very, very sensitive, you have to create room. You have to create room for comfortability, where everybody will be able to talk conveniently without the fear of stigmatization or discrimination or whatsoever. Another thing is that you have to ensure that all opinions are valid, all opinions are appreciated, and you don't rate anybody above the other, to ensure that everybody gets to participate and they don't feel out of the discussion. And when you are recording, oh God, I need to put this in order. While talking about the do's and don'ts, let me talk generally, citing examples on how a focus group discussion goes and all of that. So after you must have selected your participants and all of that, you guys have chosen a time and a place where you have to meet. You've developed your guide. I mean, those are your questions that you want to ask your participants. Then you have to ensure that you have a timer. Somebody that time for every question you want to actually attach a time to it so that you guys don't spend time on a particular question and then you don't have time to answer the rest of the questions. You want to ensure that you have a recorder too. A recorder is someone who record the audio of your the audio to get responses and the information that you and the participant are actually giving. So you can record this. Usually there is actually an audio tape recorder, but if you don't if that is not available, you can make use of your phone. You have to ensure that all information are actually recorded. And while you are recording, you also ensure that you look at their reaction. Just like I tried saying the other time, that the words that are coming out of our mouths and the reactions that are giving to it actually has a very long way to go. Somebody is actually saying, "Oh, I actually do not agree with something," but the reaction that the person is giving, you can tell that, oh, probably the person is not feeling comfortable. You should be able to move further. However, you don't put words into their mouth, saying that, pushing them to the edge of saying what they don't want to say. So after all of this has been done, after I've collected data, you have to ensure that when you are translating, when you are translating the audio tape into a written format, you make sure that you are not leaving any information out. You should not reduce whatever anybody has said to ensure that every of the information that they gave to you are translated. You don't want to, in fact, even if they make error, you have to translate it. That way, you have to ensure that all the information are well captured. So, what are those things that you don't want to do? In your guide, you don't want to have too many questions. You don't want to invite people that will make people feel uncomfortable to give answers and responses to your research questions. You want to ensure that your participants don't argue. You ensure that, okay, let's say you have about 6 respondents or 6 participants per se. You give each of the participants number because you don't need their name. Give each of the participants number. And then when anybody wants to talk, you point at, the person raises up their hand and then you point at, then they say, oh, number 2, then they give their responses. Nobody, you shouldn't allow that you should allow a sort of disagreement. So when somebody else is talking, another person is standing up to talk, you have to make sure that it's in order. So that when we are translating the audio, it's going to be in a structured format. So that's what we want to look at basically. So this is what a sample course group discussion guide looks like. You know, after you have introduced yourself, what your research is all about. So this sample guide is actually looking at pardon. You realize that the questions that are here, they are actually answering this is not a research question anyway, this is a topic. This is actually answering this research topic. What are some of the problems that affect young persons in this area? You know, that's just like an opener. You are trying to, talk to them. You want to make them feel at ease before delving into the actual stuff. Then the next question, what have you heard about HIV and AIDS? So you are going down to your research question to answer your research topic. What have you heard about HIV and AIDS? What are the ways of preventing spread of? So you can see that these questions, they are not close-ended. They are not. It's not HIV/AIDS is caused by A virus, B bacteria. You see that they are not closed. They are open-ended. So What have you heard about HIV/AIDS? People give diverse responses, right? What are the ways of prevention? People give diverse ways. So that's where you can actually ascertain what the perception is, what their perception is, what their opinions and attitudes are towards the question that you're asking them. So what do you need to carry out a focus group discussion? I said it earlier, it's just motivation and all. The percent that you need 3 people. One of the things that I say is that you don't want disagreement among your people. So that means you need somebody that will moderate the whole process. The person that will give number to individual of your participants. You 1, 2, 3. The person that is going to moderate the whole issue, the whole thing. The person that is going to be asking the question, that's the moderator. Then the recorder is the person that is recording the audio tape. And the observer. I said when people are giving the reaction too. So these are the people that you need when you're carrying out a focus group discussion. So what do you do with the information or the other thing that you have gotten? I said you have to do a qualitative data analysis on it using Atlas TI or in vivo, right? So to ensure that you are not your own perception, or you don't introduce bias into their responses. You have to ensure that everything that they had said was extracted, or is extracted rather. You don't reduce it, to ensure that you capture your information, and then that will be very, very helpful when you're running your analysis. So you want to confirm and double confirm whether you have translated it well. So when you translate, give to somebody else to confirm and read through. So please hold on. Give me a minute, please. I'm so sorry about that. I needed to attend to something. So, sorry. All right, so that's all about the analysis of data. After transcription, you have transcribed correctly, you have double confirmed it, then you can run thematic analysis or qualitative analysis on it. All of these things has to be practical, actually, to ensure that you've got things. Just like we rightly said before the beginning of the class, you can't get everything. This is just like an opener to the actual thing, just for you to have an overview of what this is really all about. So if you have more time, we're going to be more practical. I think the next week is about analyzing data and all of those things. So that might be harmful. Might have a way of actually making practice of whatever it is that we are talking about today. So just like quantitative research method actually has its own advantage and disadvantage, so does qualitative analysis. So qualitative research methods. So I'm going to be talking about the advantage and disadvantage of focus group discussion. One of it is that it's actually given for the your participants to give their opinion like widely. without restriction. So that's why I said it is very, very it's a very important way and a very good way to actually measure attitude, perception, and beliefs, because the respondents were able to talk based on their own standpoints and can really see the extent of whatever it is that they are talking about. It gives you insights on how people behave the way they do. That's talking about the attitude to things, and it also give you a very, very sorry a very, very pure and much more enough information to actually carry out an intervention in that particular community, in the sense that, oh, these are the people living here. They know really about what is actually going on, so you can easily make good intervention based on their responses. However, you have to be careful when you are making inferences based on this, because responses that they are giving to you are actually subjective, in the sense that what A is seeing, B might not be seeing, and what A is seen as a problem, B might not be seen as a problem. So you want to be, before you make intervention based on any response, you have to make sure that, let's say you have about 20 respondents, about 4/5 of them are actually saying, oh, this is actually the real thing. You have to check for that similarity in their responses. So these are some of the disadvantages or the limitations that you can encounter when you are carrying out a focus group discussion. And one of it is that it can be very difficult to carry out, in the sense that to curtail for noise, disagreements, and all of those things, it takes a whole lot of time and composure. Another thing is that the data that are going to be, yes, just like I've rightly said, the data that are going to be getting might be very, very subjective, in the sense that you pick them. The sample size was not really calculated. It was not something that is scientific. So you just pick some set of people that I feel like they know about the topic that are talking about, and then they are going to be talking based on their own standpoints, but not be saying the actual thing. Do you understand that kind of thing? And the other thing is that, when I was explaining quantitative research method, I said it actually helps with number estimates when you're taking a look at prevalence and all of that. But when you're looking at a qualitative research method, the what is best at is to take a look at beliefs and perception. It cannot help you to establish prevalence of something. Do you understand? It can't give you a numeric evaluation of something. So that's a major limitation to focus group discussion. All right. So by next class, we are going to be talking about another thing, which is the key informant interview or the key in-depth interview. So I'm going to stop here for today. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
No question. Thank you. I actually enjoyed the lecture very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. I don't have a question.
Thank you everyone for joining this class. The assignments will be uploaded on the Google Classroom platform. Please make sure you do it and submit it before the
Yeah,
deadline.
and the slide as well.
Yeah, the slides, the recording will be sent to you guys. Have a wonderful rest and good night, everyone.
Good night.